If you guys had seen that Meg had been made Director of Institutional Assessment, it's a new position that we hadn't had before, and it really just reflects the level of responsibilities that she has to support all of you in putting together your mission, missions, plans, outcomes, measures for those outcomes, and any other questions that you have about the whole operational assessment process. So while I am involved kind of as a consultant to Meg and making sure that we're moving forward with these things, Meg is really the director that handles whatever your needs are that you would need Radar to help you with. So we're going to talk about it as operational assessment. Maureen McCarthy handles the student learning outcomes assessment. And if you go to the next slide, Meg, I just wanted to give a bigger picture of all of our institutional effectiveness planning. We do have the part that Maureen leads and consults with the faculty side of the house and the program side of the house relative to student learning outcomes. That's our general education, as well as our programs of study. We don't have things in here much relative to continuing education, but Anissa's group and in tandem with Matt and the rest of us are working towards getting good information so that we can do a better job in support of the continuing education folks. On the mission review side, pardon me?
Oh, sorry.
No, on the mission review side, we did do 2 mission reviews recently in December, the one for student success and the ones for transfer and career prep. And I just kind of want to show how that feeds into our institutional effectiveness report, which then informs strategic planning, as well as your operational plans and the assessment of those plans, as well as program audits on the student side, on the program side, the student learning side. And then environmental scanning, obviously feeds into strategic planning as well. It won't necessarily be in our institutional effectiveness report. The next institutional effectiveness report will be coming out this spring, probably May. That's something that I'm working on, and it'll help with service reviews and continuous improvement plans, and also just ways that you tell us your successes and your challenges, and then develop, the action plans that have been developed to meet those. Can you go to the next slide, Meg? This is just a strategic plan, and this is just a reminder slide that as you look at your operational plans, take a look at the strategic plans, see where there's connections between the mission of your unit and the overall strategic plan. There may be metrics from the strategic plan that you want to use in your operational plan, or you may have operational plan measures that you want us to track for you. And just let us know. They may not be part of the strategic plan. They may be from SESI, or they may be from NESI, or they may be from some of the surveys that we do of students or our graduates. They may be from the VFA or the National Community College Benchmarking Project, which is 2 projects that we do that compare us to other institutions throughout the country and in Pennsylvania. There's other metrics sometimes that we capture through other means. And so if you have things that you need us to track for you, we'll want to know if you use them to measure your outcomes. If you go to the next slide, Meg.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just a reminder that we do these 5 mission reviews, that the results of those mission reviews, and based on the different focuses that they have, generate metrics that are useful in the assessment of your units, both on the academic side as well as the administrative side. They do those findings basically that are made through the mission reviews should create opportunities for actions on your part if they associate with the activities of your unit. And those should go into your continuous improvement plans, new actions that you might take to advance the mission of your unit. If you go to the next one, Meg. This is just the calendar In the past, an institutional effectiveness report was done every single year. The last one was done in 2018. It fell off a little bit when Janelle left the institution. And when I arrived, we needed to do these 2 mission reviews, one for student success, and then the other one, which was a combination of the transfer and career prep mission reviews that had been done in the past. A decision had been made to combine those. So I was able to do those reviews in December and to have the Zoom meeting on those. They actually are the last of the ones that we typically do. The order, yes? The order is access, then service to community, then stewardship of resources, then student success, and then this combined transfer and career. There used to be one related to social responsibility, but that's kind of been spread out among all of the others, whether it's an institutional service, social responsibility, or whether it's student social responsibility. So what will happen right now is that I will be writing an institutional effectiveness report that harkens back to the reviews that were done before I came, for access, service to community, and stewardship of resources. And then it will add in the student success and the transfer and career outcomes that we found and action items that might have been developed. So what this calendar does is has 5 separate semesters where we capture each of these missions in a given semester. And then the institutional effectiveness report would be written in the 6th semester. And it'll encapsulate all of these prior mission reviews, and it will enable the units that most closely align with these particular missions to use the data from those missions as they review their operational plans and their activities. So here we show that student success and transfer and career feed into the student services unit and the student services areas, as well as the academic affairs administration. Meg and I have already worked with the student services folks to help them to move forward with their operational plans, and then eventually to do a service review, which will harken back to their activities of the past 3 years, not just 1 year, but 3 years. And then they'll be able to develop a continuous improvement plan based on their own findings, on their own activities, as well as using the metrics that I reported out in the student success and the transfer and career prep. So you can see other units. So access, as we develop that mission review and generate data from that and have findings from that, that will help to support enrollment services, diversity, marketing, et cetera. And this calendar will come back up again later if you have specific questions about your own unit. Why don't you go to the next one, Meg? And I think this is kind of you at this point.
Yeah, just a quick thing. One, I think I saw an email pop up from Don Wachowski looking to be allowed into the meeting. So hopefully that's something that we can get done too. Also a quick question, or just wanted to note too, Patty, I think had a quick question regarding the location of these mission review findings and metrics. So I didn't know if you wanted to touch on that quickly, Lauren.
I don't know if they've been posted to our pages yet. I had distributed the PowerPoint around to a lot. Hi, Donna. Sorry, I didn't realize you were there. Meg let me know. I did distribute them out to VPs and that kind of thing, but I don't know if they're not posted there yet. We'll get them posted, and otherwise, just let Meg know, and we'll send them out to you. It was one review. I did it all in one PowerPoint. Typically, it would have been 2 separate reviews, but we just needed to catch up, especially with the self-study coming. So we did them both together. But in the future, they'll be done in 2 separate semesters. So, does that answer the question? Oh, I can see the chat now. Before, I think I had my screen too big.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll move on to what needs to be completed now. And so there's two different areas that we're trying to manage in terms of moving forward with operational assessment. And one is Taskstream. I think many of you are probably familiar with Taskstream or regretfully familiar with it, since it's been a little bit of a pain, I think, for many, including us. But Taskstream, what we're aiming to do here is have the 2019-20 academic year be the final cycle for Taskstream. So we'll go back in, operational assessment plan and results just needs to be entered in Taskstream. What we would be typically asking as well is that a continuous improvement plan be entered in Taskstream. We're not doing that at this point, mainly to harken back to what Lauren was saying about this new cycle with continuous improvement plans and service reviews. The continuous improvement plans will no longer be an annual thing. And so that's going to be done on a more unique basis within the divisions on the specific time frame mentioned previously. So the only thing that's really necessary right now in Taskstream that we really want to get wrapped up is the operational assessment results. Some people might not have their 2019-20 plan in there, and that's fine. That was typically just a rollover of the previous plan, so that doesn't necessarily take a lot of steps to complete ahead of time. You will need to do that. Oh, Lauren, do you have a question? Or are you just waving? But we do want to make sure that we have the plans in there. You can enter in your results from the past academic year, and then we'll be done with Taskstream. So that'll be a huge relief. Moving forward with planning and self-study. So planning and self-study is from the same company as Taskstream. It's their newer assessment management service. And so this system, what we found is that it's a lot more user-friendly. There's going to be a lot more ways to utilize the data that is put into the system from all the different departments across campus. So that's going to be really important. The focus also was on the fact that since we have the self-study going on, that this would be an integral part of completing that and assessing all of the work that we collectively do. So that was a big reason for switching over to something that was going to be a better tool for us. So what needs to be done in planning and self-study? We're looking to essentially get the framework started for all the departments. So we need the mission statements put in for all the departments, success outcomes put in, and then your operational plan for 2020, 2021. And then mapping those outcomes to the strategic plan. And we can go over those as well. Just as a review too, to go over what each of these steps are and how they contribute to the operational assessment plan. For the plan, your general question is going to be, what is your unique contribution to the college? When you're looking at the measures for that plan, you're going to be asking yourself, how do you know that we're doing a good job? And then further down the road, what can we do better? So that's where the service review comes in and where the continuous improvement plan comes in. And so this is where, just as a review of where these do I have the right thing up? I'm trying to see. Of where these icons are. In the portal for apps for employees, you're going to see these two icons. So it is single sign-on. You'll be able to sign on directly to Taskstream as well as planning and self-study. So that's where I'm going to go now. So we'll go to, 1 second, I'm going to stop this for a moment and then go to where these are. We have some music going on. Okay. Will you be importing? So a quick question from Lynn, will you be importing the Taskstream information into planning and self-study? Unfortunately, that's not something that we can do. We will have access to Taskstream for several years to complete the self-study. So we will have access to that. And we can assist with any downloads or exports from Taskstream. They just won't be easily transferable to PASS in terms of a mass transfer of the data. That was something that we were hoping was a possibility, and unfortunately isn't. So going back to, so we'll start with Taskstream, just as a refresher for what needs to be completed there, and that's the operational assessment plan results for 2019-2020. So you're going to go to your specific department. That should come up on your homepage. If it doesn't for some reason, or if there's anything strange going on, please let me know. We can get that situated for you as well. But you'll click on the operational assessment plans for 2014 to present, and you'll see this. And then what you're going to go do is down here with the 2019-20 academic year, you'll want to make sure that your plan is in there. And again, that wasn't necessarily done previously, because it typically was just something that was rolled over. So that is something that we can get done for you if you need assistance with that. You will need to roll over your plan prior to entering in any results, but your plan will be in there. So you'll have everything there. And then you'll go to results. And so this is where you're going to need to complete to finish out 2019-20 in Taskstream. So you'll want to go through all of your outcomes are there, your measures are there, and then you'll want to check out the page. And checking out the page is how you edit it, how you add any information that you need to. You'll go to add findings, and then this is your workspace. So you'll type in your findings, any recommendations for the future, any additional reflections or notes you might have. And then just a note about whether you didn't meet, you met, or you exceeded the target that you had for that measure. So that's going to be how you'll complete Taskstream. And then moving on from there, we'll go back to, so we'll move over now to planning and self-study, just so that I'm sure about my screen share. Does everyone see planning and self-study right now? Okay, so this is what you'll see when you log into planning and self-study. And so what we're trying to do here, this should be, we're hoping for somewhat minimal work here. It's more so the foundation. It is a great time to review what you had in Taskstream in terms of your mission statement and your objectives, which are now called success outcomes. It's a great time to review that, to make sure that it's succinct, that it gets to the point, that you have everything that you need in there to make sure that you're assessing the work that your department does. But essentially what you're doing is making sure that the framework of what you had in Taskstream with your mission statement and your success outcomes ends up being in planning and self-study. So you'll go down, it should be, I think everyone should be set up as the leads for their department. If there's an issue with that, please let me know. A lot of this was based off of Taskstream leadership. And so if that's changed or you don't have access that you think that you should be having, please let me know and I can get that set up for you. But everyone hopefully has under their leadership section of planning and self-study, you should see the department that you'll be doing the assessment for. And then you'll go down, so if we're down here with radar, you go into enter department. So that'll be your first step. So this is your general workspace for your department. The first thing that you'll want to do is go over to this department information tab. And so this is kind of the center point of your department. It's where you would put your mission statement. And so your mission statement is going to be in this box down here. So there'll be a box where you can edit this. This already has a mission statement in there. So, but you would go there. These dots allow you to edit it. So if there's any edits that need to be made, but you can type that in there. That if nothing has changed from Taskstream, the mission statements were in Taskstream, that can be brought over. If not, any updated mission statement would go here. And below here.
Meg, just to say, you had mentioned they could type it, but they can copy paste it too.
Yes, copy paste, easy. The one thing I want to make sure to mention too, it's a small detail, but I've found it to be slightly annoying about planning and self-study is that with Taskstream, I felt like you could type things in there. You didn't necessarily need to save things because it automatically saved. planning and self-study, there are places where you do need to make sure that you're pressing a check mark. And so this would be if I had edited this check mark, I would have needed, if I had made any changes in order for this to save, definitely need to press the check mark. So that's something to keep in mind with planning and self-study. Moving on to the outcomes. So learning outcomes, we're not going to be utilizing those because those are more for the learning assessment side of things. You'll want to go over to the success outcomes tab. And these success outcomes are the same as what you had in Taskstream as your unit operational objectives. And they create the framework for your operational assessment plans and therefore the results. And so these success outcomes, you're going to want to focus on these are more the day-to-day goals of your department. I wouldn't consider these to be a checklist of did we do this or did we not, but these are the big goals of your department that you're looking to consistently achieve on a regular annual basis. It's a great time to review these. You always want to review your operational assessment plans on a yearly basis, but not too much is going to change. The root of what your mission for your department is not going to change on a consistent basis. And so these success outcomes are really to guide how you're serving your mission. So you'll want to make sure that, that you have all your outcomes in there. You'll go to manage outcomes, create new outcome. And so this is where you'll have a title, a brief title. There is a character limit, so a brief title, more of a description here, and then, you know, create, and it saves, and then as many as you see fit. I would recommend on this, for this part of the operational assessment plan, that you do keep it succinct, but meaningful and powerful. So that's how I would orchestrate this. I think in the past, some departments might have had a lot of objectives in Taskstream. Again, now's a great time as we're moving over to planning and self-study to hone in on the important parts of what you're doing that you can assess on a really meaningful, impactful way. So that's where you're gonna to have those success outcomes. And
If I can interrupt just for 1 minute, you know, in some of the cases when I did review people's plans, they talked about training for staff or the creation of reports. And those things are tactics to deliver a particular outcome. So we don't necessarily train staff just to train staff, or we don't create reports just to create reports. That's not really the outcome you're seeking. So the outcome you're seeking might be to more effectively reach out to students. And so you've created this report to more effectively reach out to students, or to just effectively reach out to students. So that would be your outcome. And then, you know, one of the ways you would do that would be to have this report. Or if you want to provide optimal service to students, you would train your staff so that you would be providing optimal service. So one of the things I would like for people to do when they look at their outcomes is to review. Creating a report and then saying you created a report isn't really an outcome that serves your mission. So see how that report supports your mission and make the way that report supports your mission the actual outcome. And then when it comes down to the measures, it would be that you had created a report that then let you better, you know, reach out to students, or you had provided training that better enabled you to better serve students, if that makes sense. And if people have questions about this, that's a place where Meg and I, you know, can be made available to you to sort of think about some of those questions. And I didn't mean to derail your path through this past tool, Meg, but I just want people to really be thinking about it. And also try not to have too many things that you're running after that you have to measure. You know, if you have 10, it's probably too many. If you have 3, it might be too few, but just really take a look at that so as not to create work for yourself. Again, we're going to be measuring these every year, but we're going to be evaluating our performance kind of every 3 in a way. So it's just a different way to think about it a little bit. Anyway, sorry to interrupt you.
No, I think that's really important. I think a major point that This goes back to what Lauren was saying, and I was saying earlier too, is we are looking for quality over quantity. I think one of the observations I've had over the past few years with Taskstream is that I think this process sometimes ends up being more of a check it off your to-do list to get it done type thing, which yes, it's great to get something done. I think it's significantly more valuable and more important that it be an impactful and meaningful process. Assessment is a process. It's certainly not something that just gets done. And so that's one of the things that we really want this tool to expand upon, is making this a more meaningful process as opposed to just something that gets done. To answer Joanne's question, absolutely. We can make these tools accessible after the presentation. I've been making a note of who all is here, so I can certainly send that out. We do have the steps that I'm going over now. We have a Word document with screenshots that goes through how to access everything that I'm doing right now. And we can also get the PowerPoint accessible as well with the timeline that Lauren's referencing, or that Lauren referenced earlier. I do want to note with that calendar that we wouldn't be expecting anyone to, yes, Monica saying we can post the information on the Tech Day webpage, that's great. But we wouldn't be expecting anyone to continue with a service review or a continuous improvement plan without further training, because this initial training right now is really getting the operational assessment planning set up. So that those additional steps that would be noted on the calendar, we would be reaching out and providing additional communication afterward. I hope that answers your question. Okay, so we have our success outcomes. So once those success outcomes are all entered in, again, you're going to want to save and close. Please don't forget to save and close. I think Lauren and I have both numerous occasions been like, we definitely did something in our workspace and then not been able to find it. And it's lo and behold, because we didn't click save and close. So just to make sure that we do that. So now department information, you'll have completed everything that you need to have done for that. Once you have your mission statement and once you have your success outcomes. So that should all be there. You might enter some and you might need to, if you have a little bit more, you might need to go to view all outcomes in case they don't show up, but they'll all be there once they're save and close and you're good. So now you're back in your department workspace. If you go to in progress, you'll see projects in progress. You'll see continuous improvement projects, which are, it's the planning self-study name for your operational assessment plan. So you'll see that under here. The 2021 operational assessment plan. I believe I made sure that each department should have an operational assessment plan workspace. I'm fairly certain that I checked all the right boxes to make sure that that happened. If for some reason you don't see that, please let me know and I'll make sure that that happens. But all departments should have that, other than academic programs, but academic departments should have that. So you'll go into the operational assessment plan. And so the bulk of what we're looking to have happen right now is that you're going to want to make sure all the success outcomes that you just entered in under the department information, that's going to be the framework for your operational assessment plan. And so you're going to want to go to add edit outcomes. And this is a similar process to what Taskstream had as well. It just looks a little bit different. Unfortunately, we're going to have learning outcomes come up as a possibility. I wish we didn't have that for operational assessment, but it's just something that we have to just look past. So move on from the learning outcomes. You'll see your success outcomes below. And then what you're going to do is every success outcome that you want included in your operational assessment plan, which should be all of them, since we are looking for succinct what you're doing to contribute to your mission, those items all should be in your operational assessment plan. But you'll select all of them. If for some reason there's an outcome that you want to add that's specific to the 2021 operational assessment plan, you can create an outcome here. So that's an option as well. But make sure all of your outcomes are checked. So you'll see that. And then once you have that checked, you can go to apply selection. And that's going to allow all of your success outcomes to show up here. And that's where you can start the real work here. So what you'll want to do, I'll click on this one since this one doesn't have any measures in it. You'll go to your success outcome, and it gives you, the title, the little description that you have there, and then adding your measure. And so this is where you are going to really look into how you're going to measure your steps to achieving your mission or that specific success outcome. And so with planning and self-study, it does have the option to, excuse me, select different types of measure methods, which is helpful. There's always an other as well, so you can be more specific if none of these come in. I'm going to select survey since that's something that's common for our department. So survey, these are the things that, those are not something that you'll edit since those are, what you're working on currently. You'll type in a title. I can say, the radar satisfaction survey for operational assessment. So that can be the title for that. I can click my target here, and depending on what my survey says, I can say I want, this has a recommendation. 90% of recipients will rate satisfaction as a 3 or above. Something along that line would go into the target. If there's anything to describe about the process, when you're going to get the survey out, how many respondents you're hoping to reach out to, who's going to be the one that's orchestrating the survey in your department, whatever the case may be, you can add more details there. And then any other documents you might want to add. So those are all things to consider when you're adding in a measure. And so this is where the actual plan comes into play, because you'll be actually outlining what you're looking to achieve over the course of the year and how at the end of the year you're going to be able to evaluate it. Typically, if this was something that we're permanently going to put, I'd say do add over here and then you're good. That saves it. I'm just going to close out of here, continue there. So that's how you're going to be putting in your plan. So that right there is the extent of what we're really hoping to get into with the operational assessment plan. One thing too that we do need to touch on briefly, and this is something that I think might be more easily done on an individual basis because it might be a little bit more unique. But you'll go to the strategic plan, and there's different objectives here. If you have an outcome that matches to, let's say, strategic objective 1.1, you can tie your success outcomes to that. I need to make sure, I'll make sure that everyone has the strategic plan. They should. If it's not in your workspace, let me know, but it should, and I need to double check that afterwards. But that's how you'll be able to see the strategic plan, review it, and then tie any of your objectives to any part of the strategic plan. And as a reminder, clicking done, making sure that it saves. But we do want to make sure that at least some of your success outcomes are mapped to the strategic plan. It's really a way to, it's more of an intentional approach to make this a cohesive effort across campus, across the college, to really, move the strategic plan forward and making sure that we're all guided by it, since that's the whole point of it. So that, I believe, is the gist of, I'm going to stop this share for, I think there's, let's see, it's been clipped. Joanne, your question about the ELC, there's certainly going to be a lot of things that COVID impacted. So that's certainly something that when you're entering in your results, the ELC has been closed since March due to COVID is, it's a part of the story that you'll just be typing in that to explain it. it's certainly an explanation for why certain things might not have happened the way that they were originally planned. So I hope that answers your question. Since that's, you can say, you know, not met, but the story behind it would be COVID. So I think that's the extent of planning and self-study for at least the framework. And then, you know, as the year progresses, as the calendar moves forward with the service reviews and the continuous improvement plans, we'll be sure to reach out to anyone that's on that time frame to make sure that we're guiding them through that as well. I know this was a lot right away, and I think it's a lot to take in. But I think it's, you know, play around with what you see in planning and self-study, and we're obviously really eager to help you if you need anything too. I'm going to pull up, I'm going to share the PowerPoint again so that we can go over just briefly. Let me see. Okay, hold on. Okay, so going over this just as a reminder, I hope everyone can see the PowerPoint again. And so in terms of what's due next, again, the service review and continuous improvement plan based off of the calendar. So that's just something to keep in the back of your mind moving forward, that it's something that will be done at some point. But the bulk of what we need done right now, going back quickly to this, the 2019-20 operational assessment results, mission statement in planning and self-study, the success outcomes in planning and self-study, and then your plan put in there as well. So I'll put this, this back up here as well too, the calendar.
Yeah, just to touch base relative to what needs to happen, you know, as Meg said, we want to make sure you've finished up putting all your results into Taskstream, and then to move on into PASS for the current year, the fall 20, spring 21, you know, academic year, to put in your mission. If you're going to keep it the same, that's fine. If you're going to change it, that's fine as well. And then put in your operational plan. Again, if you want to list those goals, activities as they had been, or to make changes, that would be the time to make those changes. And then to put in the metrics that you're going to use with your targets as to what you want to achieve. Now, those are annual goals, but when it comes to your continuous improvement plan, you don't have to write one for every year. So every few years, it's going to be on a cycle of 3. The thing is, you know, we're integrating this over a period of time. So that 3rd year won't be the same year for every person. We held a training with student services folks to try to help them to move their operational plans forward in PASS. And we're going to work with them relative to a service review that looks at their prior 3 years, and then a development of a continuous improvement plan that will carry them through the coming 3 years. Down the road, you can see on the calendar that we're going to be working with enrollment services and diversity and marketing with the intention that they would have a service review completed in spring of 22. And that they would then have a new continuous improvement plan completed in fall of 22. And then down the road, we would be looking at service to community and the enrollment services on the non-credit side, and looking at a service review in fall of 22, et cetera. So as each of these areas rolls out, now I'm trying to see why the foundation's not on here, because it had been. We do have a calendar that has the foundation there. And it may come under the admin finance timeframe, where we're looking at stewardship of resources, or it may come under the service to community side. I don't recall. And it may have been something that we wanted to have a conversation with them about before we made a decision about that in terms of time frame. But the important thing would be that we would hold a training at your request. We would walk through all this same information that we showed today. We would be available to consult on outcome measures and those, which we are already now, even as you move your as you move your operational plans forward. But certainly when you start getting into what you would do for a continuous improvement plan on this time frame, we would be available, both Meg and I, but primarily Meg, to kind of walk you through there is a sheet that we created of tips to help you think about how to get through these different things, whether it's your mission review or your outcomes or your service review or your continuous improvement plan. So we have various handouts which we can share in advance of a training, but obviously we're happy to do a training with those as well. I don't know how tight we are on time.
A few minutes. Joanne had asked, is student life on the timeline? Student life, I believe, is included in the student services
Right.
division. And Jackie's question, which division includes the learning resources department?
I think that's academic affairs,
Yeah.
which is on the current timeline now. You're saying as apart from, you mean as an administrative group, right? As opposed to a academic group? Because the program reviews cover certain things.
Mhm.
We cover the administrative side, but not the student learning side.
Okay, so are we spread out among divisions?
As an administrative, as an assessment of your administrative functions, no, you wouldn't be spread out among divisions. I don't recall where you are in the hierarchy. Do you recall, Meg? There's a hierarchical structure that we had to create within PASS,
Okay,
which houses every unit. And I thought it was under academic affairs, but I could be wrong. Do you have a way to see it, Meg?
and we have, I mean, in Taskstream now, and we have learning resources, then we have library, we have media lab, academic success center, we're multiple parts of a whole, much like student services. So that's I think what I meant by, are those areas among divisions?
Those
Yeah,
areas
yeah.
are represented here as units. The hierarchy is the college, then the division, then the department, and then like subunits.
Right. Okay, so I guess I'm asking if those areas map to different divisions, or do they all fall within the hierarchy of academic affairs admin?
I'm checking right now.
Donna's shaking her head. Okay. I mean, I think typically that's how we're organized. We're an academic affairs entity. It's just that our actual functions map to different mission review subsets.
Right. If anybody has a concern with where we put them in the division, obviously we'll work with the VP and them to figure out where they want to be. But we just had to set up a hierarchy. And I believe you guys are under admin, academic affairs admin. But you're right, I don't recall specifically because it's a big college. And we remember,
Right, and academic affairs admin makes most sense to me. I just wanted to confirm.
Yeah, Jackie, we are under academic affairs. Where we fall as far as mission reviews isn't really relevant to this.
I'm just thinking about timeline, that's all.
Yeah, we're a little behind with the academic affairs side of the house. There's just been, I want to work with Lisa on it, and you guys have been really occupied with a lot of other things right now. And so while this timeline had been set up, we are aware that we hadn't been able to do outreach to you. But we also knew that with all of the COVID stuff, there'd been a lot of transitions and a lot of other managements, plus the self-study, plus the new dean in terms of distance learning. And there's just so many things that had been being tackled
Yeah, no kidding.
that we just we didn't want to, we worked with Kelly's group because they were really gung ho with moving forward, but we didn't want to put pressure
Sure.
on your unit. So we do have a plan and we will sit down with you. It may not work to sit down with you as a large group, though. We may you may be better served by sitting down in a more one-on-one
Yeah.
capacity.
Okay.
But also your goals really haven't changed. You know, your intended outcomes haven't really changed. So we weren't too concerned with you guys making a lot of changes to what you've been doing in the past.
Sure. No,
So that
thanks.
was
That
another
helps.
reason that there wasn't much pressure on us. And it's also very wrapped up in the self-study.
Yeah,
So to think that you guys don't have measures, you know, we know you have measures.
we do. Right.
So,
Yeah.
so to some extent, it was just where we put our priorities.
Got it. Okay.
But
That
we
helps a
don't
lot.
really want to, we don't really want to change the timeline a lot. Obviously, the service review timeline has changed.
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
we
We
do-
just have this like bump in the road right now, and moving forward will be.
Right,
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
okay.
Are there any other questions?
I think the time's out, so I don't
Yes,
want
I
to,
think,
I wanna
yeah,
be-
I don't want to go beyond, but I do want to just reiterate again. I know this is, anytime that there's something that's new like this, and assessment can be kind of a unique process in and of itself. So there's obviously going to be questions as you go through it. If there are any questions, please let me know, reach out via email. I'm happy to set up one-on-one Zoom meetings as well. You know, we can certainly walk through unique individual situations to make sure that the assessment process ends up being what your unit needs, and then ultimately what the college needs too. So,
And just to reiterate, you know, Meg's position was created because it is a priority. Your needs in this area are a priority. So just reach out to her. And we'll, you know, what you need is at the top of our list, so. Thanks, Monica. I'm sorry if we went over. Oh, there's more chats.
A lot of great information. We're going to have to certainly revisit this because there's so much there. And I know people are going to need a lot of help and have a lot of questions. So thank you so much for presenting today. We really appreciate it. And we look forward to having some more information from you to post to our Tech Day webpage so that people can refer to it.